So, do we have everybody here? We are now expecting the Minister of Mass Communications, who is going to join us, but I believe that we can start now. And on behalf of the organizing committee of the conference, I would like to express my warm welcome and gratitude for all those present here, that you have come here so early and accepted our invitations. And I am pleased to see our foreign speakers who accepted our invitations and came to visit us here in pretty uneasy times. And I would like to say that these uneasy times are, first of all, not connected with the political events, but with what is going on in the open source world. We all know that it's not very easy now, but happily Postgres does not belong to any company, and our sources do not belong to anyone, and Postgres is really the most developed and open database in the world, hardcore database, and most importantly, Postgres, and I believe you haven't even thought about it, that Postgres gives us choice and freedom of choice. And in the world ruled by several companies like Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, IBM, Postgres is a real alternative to them. And in 2014, I don't think that you know that, Hartner posed in the first quadrant with top leaders, Enterprise DB and Postgres as well. So that means that Postgres became the top global database. And I have worked with Postgres, as I understood yesterday, since 1995, so that is for 19 years, and I started with release 1.0, and I can say anything about Postgres, so tell me when I tire you. But what I would like to note here is that we have enterprise features in Postgres when the first vendors, Postgres vendors, turned up. And the first serious company was Second Quadrant. And here we have Simon Riggs with us. And the company was founded in 2001. Then in 2004, Enterprise DB in the US was founded. And these two companies gave enterprise features to Postgres, and I feel sad to recollect then hacker times, romantic hacker times finished when we spent time in our kitchens doing our job. Now Postgres turns more and more in a serious company of enterprise level, but still it follows the most hardcore principles of open source, that is independence and openness, that is that friendly atmosphere that developers have, and that is what attracts me greatly. Russia, just like always, it takes us a long time to prepare, but then we start running fast. And we noticed that in Russia, active Postgres companies started forming, and in summer, the first conference of the society was held in St. Petersburg, and I believe that you have been there. And three major stages of companies in Russia took place. That is in Yandex, when they declared that they turned to Postgres in Yandex Mail. Then it happened in Avito, and now we are at the second winter Moscow conference of PostgreSQL community, and we see that what we are lacking in now is a company that can declare itself a vendor. And We are thinking of that company already, and now we have already a Russian vendor that is going to deal with integration and introduction, development, and maintenance, as well as training. And now we are looking for an even more huge leap in Postgres development. And it's not a secret that this conference stands apart and stands out because this whole embraces those who deal with development of Postgres, as well as heads of companies and officials. And officials, on the one hand, take decisions, and they have to see that there is a community in place already. There are people who are going to promote and implement these decisions. But on the other hand, the community has to communicate, to see that the position of the government and business is not fluctuation, but is a trend. And it is not a new trend. And we know that European Union countries took this path of free choice long ago, and our French colleagues will give us examples how huge projects turned from Oracle to Postgres. So freedom of choice is a foundation of our movement here in Russia. And a lot of people speak about import substitution. And that is something that we cannot just impose externally, saying, let us substitute import. And our path is different. And I see that we have to provide our customers, the government and major stakeholders, major business, we have to give them freedom of choice. Because late figures showed that 70% of this market is conquered by Oracle, and it's not worth comparing Oracle with Postgres because the preconditions are unequal, as Oracle is backed up by a huge corporation whose profit can be compared with GDPs of major countries, and they have support, training, lobbying, and what Postgres has is only the community. So before we start speaking about import substitution, we have to start with some more or less equal conditions. And now I believe as we get a vendor, Russian vendor for PostgreSQL, after we have them in place, we can start speaking about some comparisons some years later. But in Russia, Postgres is actually a unique thing because that is one of the most important open source projects that doesn't have a good representative here in Russia. So at least 4 leading developers from Russia took part in the project. So that is 3 active developers, me, Fyodor Sigayev, and Alexander Korobkov. We had 5 Google students who worked on Postgres. And our guys took part in at least 2 intonations of PostgreSQL, and the elephant first turned up in Russia, and it is called Slonik.gif. So what I'm driving at is that we have pretty good initial steps, and we are planning to go hand in hand with Postgres together towards the light future. And I can see the Minister of Communications and Mass Media here with us. Therefore, I am giving him the floor. So, Minister of Communications and Mass Media, Nikolai Nikiforov. Good morning, friends. I actually was surprised seeing you here so early because technical guys, programmers, do not usually wake up that early as they work all night. And I would like to say that I have had experience of developing Postgres, and I know that there are certain colleagues of mine from Kazan in this room. There they are. And here they are. So those guys and I did joint developments, and some of them had petitioning experience to Postgres. And then this experience came in handy when we started thinking about serious projects of leaving proprietary and import-dependent and political-dependent software that is pretty highly present in our governmental companies, and annually hundreds of millions of rubles, including taxpayers' money, is spent on its maintenance. And the events in Crimea that I believe can evoke different attitude in different people, but still we can see the real facts when political sanctions result in the rights and freedom of users violation. And I'm sure that free software is, on the one hand, global fork that we stand at, looking at how progress of IT will develop. But I'm sure that software is a big factor of demonopolization of global system, and I constantly reiterate that. And of course, political and economic events were a prerequisite to that, but it so happened that global IT is hugely monopolized by one country, and we are against any monopolies because they always lead to problems, and we need to have any ecosystem balanced without having the role of one country, of one company, of one product not exceeding 30%. So it's worth developing any demonopolizing measurements, mostly in such a critical area as databases. The government of the Russian Federation has adopted a general transition plan to free software for the ministries, and the main pitfall in its implementation was that the users' product line did not allow and does not allow hundreds of thousands of civil servants leave their current business processes and turn them to free software. And if we talk about not front-end but back-end, here the free software introduction is much easier and more effective, and that is the way we are following. That is not a database, but still we have already turned to the implementation part of freeware, and that is a huge bust, so to say. And no matter whether you go to some, you address some governmental service, any governmental authorities communicate via this huge bus that used to be proprietary, and now it is done open source and freeware. And one of our major companies, Russian Post, is also seriously considering these migration plans from proprietary software to free and open source software. And we are going to support it all with grants, and there are going to be targeted R&D grants that would help this transition. And it's really critical that we are having this conference of this scale in Russia and in Moscow. And I know that in St. Petersburg, this conference has gathered already pretty big audience, and it highlights the importance of our free and open source software, and we have to take into account the number and the number of code rows that will help us do that. And from the point of view of the government, that is an issue of demonopolization and strategic safety of the country. If we do not depend on a special or separate country, product, or company, it will be better. And Postgres for us is really a crucial tool to achieve the goal that I have voiced. Therefore, I would like to wish you fruitful work, interesting communication, both in technical, organizational, and business terms, and we would be grateful to have a meeting with the organizing committee after the conference to discuss a list of specific steps, like an action plan, including certain steps that the government can make now to turn the green line, so to say, to this migration from proprietary to free databases. And we are ready to this step, and we have critical groups in our ministry on software, and one of them is devoted to database management systems. So let us jointly devise this agenda and move on decisively and operatively. We do support these directions, and we believe they are critical. So once again, good luck to you, and I hope you will have interesting communication and interesting ideas and new projects. Thank you very much. I believe that you have all heard this address from the minister. And while the government is still thinking of how to arrange this all work, we have founded a company that is Russian vendor, as I have said, and that is one of the steps that tackles the task on demonopolization. And now I would like to give the floor to Ivan Panchenko, representative of this company, to tell us about the plans. Actually, as far as I know, another sponsor had to speak first. Mikhail. Let us not violate the plan. Mikhail Medrish, Internet Support Foundation. Okay, thank you. I'll be brief, and I'm really pleased that our foundation managed to make our contribution into this conference, because we are all of the same blood, the same environment, representing different facets of it. And I'm happy that we managed to help in organizing this conference. And I consider any professional conference as a chance given to professionals to communicate and exchange ideas and listen to the achievements and share your achievements. So I wish good luck to this conference. There are so many of you, and that is really great. And so good luck to you, and have a great conference. Thank you, Mikhail. So Postgres professional company that was founded not long ago, and that is going to function as Russian vendor, supporting and giving all services to it, is happy to see you here. So we have different people gathered here, and it's really great that Postgres can unite us all. And Postgres is not only a database, but also a wide community of talented and strong professionals. And Postgres is not an ordinary database. It is a flexible, tunable, customizing database that can be used for new technologies of operating and handling data. And Postgres is much wider than people usually think about it. And I have dealt with Postgres since 1998, and I have gone a long way together with Postgres, starting with the time when nobody knew what Postgres is, asking whether it is a database. And now we are in the time everybody knows about Postgres, and today it is a major Postgres conference in Europe, having over 400 participants registered, and now we even have the Minister of Mass Communications here with us. And it all proves that it is not in vain that we have gathered here. We have a very big and interesting future of Postgres, and let us work together on it. As for technical items, we are going to have simultaneous interpretation from Russian into English and from English into Russian in this room and in the White Hall. And as we're going to have a lot of foreign speeches of previous Postgres developers from other countries of the world, I'm asking you to use the devices if you need. And in the evening, we are going to have a banquet, so please join us there. Thank you all for your attention.